US retail sales grew despite weak Black Friday results. I have BMO's Michael Gregory on the line. Michael, what are your views on this data? And do you think people had more money this year, which allowed them to shop more at ease on other days and avoid Black Friday madness?
Actually, that's a very good observation. I think when you looked at straight, not only the Black Friday, but the whole Thanksgiving weekend comparisons to last year, it was lackluster. But we did notice that there was a surge in online spending, so that of course will dampen that compared to last year. Also, too, retailers were acting a little bit differently, taking what would normally be sort of advertised sales only on Black Friday and pulling them forward and actually pushing them back. I was shopping in Chicago last weekend, and still Black Friday sales are on. So that kind of spreads it out, other than just around that weekend. That's precisely, I think, why we got the overall retail sales numbers, at least for November, looking much stronger than what the Black Friday or Thanksgiving weekend sales alone would suggest. On top of that, we do have pretty solid job growth, and even though the size of paychecks aren't growing very much in terms of wage gains, the number of paychecks in the economy are getting larger, and that's really helping to provide that fundamental underlying support for consumer spending.
Michael, how strong are you expecting December and January sales to be?
Well, I think we will get, the December probably is going to be similar strength to November. I think solid kind of 5% type year-over-year growth, which is not bad considering that there will still be some discounting going on. So, the large portion of that will be a real gain, not just sort of nominal spending. January could be a little bit of a payback, as January tends to be, and to the extent, retailers decide to, spread their sales out a little bit further to get rid of any excess inventory, it may help January sales, but I think inventory positions for the most part have been quite lean in the retail segment, and so we may get more of a normal looking, say, 3 or 4% gain year on year in January sales. But I'm looking for a solid sort of holiday season, but the combination of November and December, pushing up to sort of that 5% level, which is a great result.
The Treasury's $21 billion 10-year note auction received the highest demand since March 2013. How big of a role did a dramatic drop in crude oil prices play?
Well, it's having a powerful role in the sense that it's pulling down inflation expectations. We see that in terms of break-even inflation rates in say, the TIPS market. And therefore, current high nominal yields look very attractive. But there's another force at play as well. I think the Fed has slowly but surely steering us, and every Fed official that goes by seems to be a consensus building about a potential mid-2015 rate hike. And at the same time, we have the ECB talking about a new wave of easing measures in January, plus, with low inflation readings in China, potentially there's more easing coming from the authorities there. The Bank of Japan, of course, can continue with this process. So I think also U.S. Treasury yields, even, in the low 2% range, are looking particularly attractive in also in the context of an appreciating currency. So unhedged positions in U.S. Treasuries are going to be very profitable. They have been, and they're expected to continue to be, and I think that's what's providing that extra demand, not only domestically, but from global investors as well.
And finally, do you think we may see a change in the Fed's message at the next meeting?
Ooh, that's a tricky one. It's all about that considerable period or considerable time reference about how long they'll keep rates low until my sense is it's a close call. It's a very, very close call. But I'm going to go on the edge here, or the ledge, and say that they don't change that very critical phrase. For the simple reason is that last time out, at the end of October, they actually introduced qualifying language around considerable time, considerable period. And that language basically, talked about, well, what if we're making more progress towards our maximum employment goals? What does this mean? We're making, more or less progress towards our 2% inflation goal. So I think, maybe the Fed and Ms. Yellen in her press conference will kind of just say, okay, yes, in fact, we seem to be making a little bit better progress, faster progress towards our maximum employment goal, acknowledging the decent employment performance, but at the same time saying, well, but if anything, from headline inflation, we're making less progress because inflation is falling and core inflation continues to move sideways. So it may be an opportunity for the Fed just to sort of lay out the dynamics that will go into their interpretation of the data before they actually begin to raise rates. So, and they can get away with this for another meeting or two or even three before they have to change the language. Keep in mind, what Vice Chair Fisher said, that that considerable could be anywhere between 2 and 12 months, and he said that back in October. So my sense is the Fed is really not going to make any material change to signal that they are moving either sooner or pushing back the expected tightening from what seems to be a consensus building around the middle of next year.
Michael, thank you very much for your time. It was great having you on the show today. While viewers, do stay tuned as we have plenty more heading your way. Goodbye for now.